Understanding the world's major economic systems, capitalism versus socialism. Welcome to the world of money, markets, and ideologies where invisible hands clash with 5-year plans. Today, we're diving into two of the most influential economic systems shaping the modern world, capitalism and socialism. These systems don't just decide what gets made. They shape who gets what, how wealth is distributed, and who makes economic rules. If you've ever wondered why one country has private healthcare while another guarantees it for all, or why some economies seem obsessed with free markets while others focus on equality, this is your fast, clear, no-nonsense guide to understanding it all. Let's begin with capitalism. At its core, capitalism is based on private ownership of the means of production. That means factories, farms, stores, and companies are owned by individuals or corporations, not the government. Goods and services are produced for profit, and decisions about what to produce, how much to charge, and who gets access are largely left to market forces, basically supply and demand. The belief here is simple. If everyone acts in their own self-interest, the market will efficiently allocate resources, drive innovation, and increase wealth for all. This is where the famous phrase, invisible hand, comes in, coined by Adam Smith in the 1700s. The idea is that people buying and selling freely will naturally balance the economy, without anyone needing to plan it from above. Now, let's talk benefits. Capitalism has been extremely effective at generating wealth. Countries like the United States, Germany, Japan, and Singapore operate largely under capitalist models, and they've become economic powerhouses. Competition drives prices down and quality up. Companies are constantly incentivized to innovate or die, and that leads to new products, faster services, better tech. Want a self-driving car? A new phone every year? That's capitalism doing its job. But it's not perfect. Critics note that capitalism breeds inequality. When profit is the main goal, it can come at the expense of workers, the environment, and the public good. Left unchecked, capitalism can lead to monopolies, worker exploitation, housing shortages, and market failures. Like when nobody builds affordable housing because there's no profit in it. So while capitalism rewards success, it doesn't guarantee fairness. Now, shift gears. Let's talk about socialism. Unlike capitalism, socialism is based on public or collective ownership of the means of production. That means major industries, resources, and services are owned and managed by the state, or in theory, the people themselves. The goal of socialism isn't profit, it's equality and social welfare. Instead of letting markets decide what's made and who gets it, a socialist economy tries to plan production based on what people need, whether that's housing, healthcare, education, or clean energy. Now, this comes in different forms. Some countries have used central planning, where the government literally decides how many shoes or tons of steel should be made. Others practice democratic socialism, where there's still democracy and small business. But the government runs things like healthcare, electricity, and education as public services. You've probably heard of the Nordic countries, Sweden, Norway, Denmark. People often call them socialist, but technically they're capitalist economies with very strong welfare states. They tax heavily to provide services, but businesses still operate in a free market. So, what are the strengths? Socialism focuses on equity. It tries to make sure nobody is left behind because of poverty, disability, or bad luck. In many socialist-leaning countries, people have access to free healthcare, public universities, subsidized housing, and paid parental leave. There's also usually less extreme poverty and a smaller wealth gap than in capitalist economies. But there are challenges. Without competition or the pressure to make a profit, public services can become inefficient or poorly managed. Innovation can slow down. And if the government controls too much, it can lead to bureaucracy, corruption, or even authoritarianism. In extreme cases, não questão en extrinses, like the former Soviet Union, central planning led to shortages, waste, and long lines for basics like bread and toilet paper. When nobody's competing, the system can get lazy. So, capitalism or socialism? Well, neither. At least not in pure form. Most modern countries use what's called a mixed economy. They combine elements of both systems, capitalist markets with some socialist-style services and safety nets. The United States is capitalist, but it has public schools, Medicare, Social Security, and unemployment insurance. France and Germany are capitalist too, but their governments play a much bigger role in healthcare, transit, and labor protections. Even China, which calls itself socialist, uses capitalist markets in many areas, while the Communist Party maintains tight political control. So why the mix? Because real life is messy. Pure capitalism can ignore the vulnerable. Pure socialism can ignore efficiency. A mixed system tries to get the best of both, innovation and inclusion, growth and protection. And remember, economic systems evolve. In the 1930s, the US established Social Security after the Great Depression. In the 1980s, many Western countries deregulated and privatized. Today, debates over healthcare, universal basic income, and climate action are pushing the balance again. So, where does that leave us? Understanding capitalism and socialism isn't about choosing a winner. It's about understanding what each system values. Capitalism values freedom, private property, and individual success. Socialism values equality, public good, and shared responsibility. Both systems have strengths. Both have limits. And how a country blends them says a lot about its priorities. After all, economics is not just money. It's about values. What do we believe is right? What do we think everyone deserves, and who do we trust? If this helped you make sense of the big picture, hit like, share it with someone curious, and subscribe for more breakdowns of how the world works right here on EdNerd Explains.